Hi, I'm Sue. Let's get our Bible reading on for today. It is the section for May 16th, and it's 2nd Chronicles 21 to 24. And I'm reading from the World English Bible today. Verse 1. Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in David's city, and Jehoram his son reigned in his place. He had brothers, the sons of Jehoshaphat, Azariah, Jehiel, Zechariah, Azariah, Michael, and Shephatiah. All these were the sons of Jehoshaphat, king of Israel. Their father gave them great gifts of silver, of gold, and of precious things with fortified cities in Judah, but he gave the kingdom to Jehoram, because he was the firstborn. Now when Jehoram had risen up over the kingdom of his father and had strengthened himself, he killed all his brothers with the sword, and also some of the princes of Israel. My goodness. Sounds like a Shakespeare drama, doesn't it? Wow. Jehoram was 32 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. He walked in the way of the kings of Israel, as did Ahab's house, for he had Ahab's daughter as his wife. Well, no wonder. He did that which was evil in Yahweh's sight. However, Yahweh would not destroy David's house because of the covenant that he had made with David, and as he had promised to give a lamp to him and to his children always. In his days, Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah and made a king over themselves. Then Jehoram went there with his captains and his chariots with him. He rose up by night and struck the Edomites who surrounded him, along with the captains of the chariots. So Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah to this day. Then Libnah revolted at the same time from under his hand because he had forsaken Yahweh, the God of his fathers. Moreover, he made high places in the mountains of Judah and made the inhabitants of Jerusalem play the prostitute and led Judah astray. A letter came to him from Elijah the prophet, saying, Yahweh the God of David your father says, because you have not walked in the ways of Jehoshaphat your father, nor in the ways of Asa king of Judah, but have walked in the ways of the kings of Israel, and have made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to play the prostitute, like Ahab's house did, and also have slain your brothers of your father's house who were better than yourself, behold, Yahweh will strike your people with a great plague, including your children, your wives, and all your possessions, and you will have great sickness with the disease of your bowels, until the bowels fall out by reason of the sickness day by day. Yahweh stirred up against Jehoram the spirit of the Philistines and the Arabians who were beside the Ethiopians. And they came up, I'm sorry, let me read that sentence again. Yahweh stirred up against Jehoram the spirit of the Philistines and of the Arabians who were beside the Ethiopians, and they came up against Judah, broke into it, and carried away all the possessions that were found in the king's house, including his sons and his wives, so that there was no son left him except Jehoaz, the youngest of his sons. After all this, Yahweh struck him in the bowels with an incurable disease. In the process of time, at the end of 2 years, his bowels fell out by reason of the sickness, and he died of severe diseases. His people made no burning for him like the burning of his fathers. He was 32 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 8 years. He departed without being missed, and they buried him in David's city, but not in the tombs of the kings. Wow. The inhabitants of Jerusalem made Ahaziah, his youngest son, king in his place, because the band of men who came with the Arabians to the camp had slain all the oldest. So Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, reigned. Ahaziah was 42 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri. He also walked in the ways of Ahab's house, because his mother was his counselor in acting wickedly. He did that which was evil in Yahweh's sight, as did Ahab's house, for they were his counselors after the death of his father to his destruction. He also followed their counsel and went in with Jehoram son of Ahab, king of Israel, to war against Hazael, king of Syria, at Ramoth Gilead. And the Syrians wounded Joram. He returned to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds which they had given him at Ramah, when he fought against Hazael, king of Syria. Azariah the son of Jehoram king of Judah went down to see Jehoram the son of Ahab in Jezreel, because he was sick. Now the destruction of Ahaziah was of God, in that he went to Joram, for when he had come, he went out with Joram against Jehu the son of Nimshi, whom Yahweh had anointed to cut off Ahab's house. When Jehu was executing judgment on Ahab's house, he found the princes of Judah and the sons of the brothers of Ahaziah, serving Ahaziah, and killed them. He sought Ahaziah, and they caught him. See how this translation does sometimes? It says he sought Ahaziah, and they caught him. What's that all about? Okay, I don't understand why it does that, but I'm going to read that sentence again. He sought Ahaziah, and they caught him. Now he was hiding in Samaria, and they brought him to Jehu and killed him, and they buried him, for they said, he is the son of Jehoshaphat, who sought Yahweh with all his heart. The house of Ahaziah had no power to hold the kingdom. Now when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the royal offspring of the house of Judah. But Jehoshabeth, the king's daughter, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stealthily rescued him from among the king's sons who were slain, and put him and his nurse in the bedroom. So Jehoshabeth, the daughter of King Jehoram, the wife of Jehoiada the priest, for she was the sister of Ahaziah, hid him from Athaliah so that she didn't kill him. He was with them, hidden in God's house 6 years, while Athaliah reigned over the land. In the 7th year, Jehoiada strengthened himself and took the captains of hundreds, Azariah the son of Jehoram, Ishmael the son of Jehohanan, Azariah the son of Obed, Maaseiah the son of Adiah, and Elisaphat the son of Zichri into a covenant with him. They went around in Judah and gathered the Levites out of all the cities of Judah and the heads of the fathers' households of Israel, and they came to Jerusalem. All the assembly made a covenant with the king in God's house. He said to them, behold, the king's son must reign, as Yahweh has spoken concerning the sons of David. This is the thing that you must do. A third part of you who come in on the Sabbath, of the priests and of the Levites, shall be gatekeepers of the thresholds. A third part shall be at the king's house, and a third part at the gate of the foundation. All the people will be in the court of Yahweh's house, but let no one come into Yahweh's house except the priests and those who minister for the Levites. They shall come in, for they are holy, but all the people shall follow Yahweh's instructions. The Levites shall surround the king, every man with his weapons in his hand. Whoever comes into the house, let him be slain. Be with the king when he comes in and when he goes out. So the Levites and all Judah did according to all that Jehoiada the priest commanded, and they each took his men, those who were to come in on the Sabbath and those who were to go out on the Sabbath, for Jehoiada the priest didn't dismiss the shift. Jehoiada the priest delivered to the captains of hundreds the spears and the bucklers and the shields that had been King David's, which were in God's house. He set all the people, every man with his weapon in his hand, from the right side of the house to the left side of the house, near the altar and the house around the king. Then they brought out the king's son and put the crown on him and gave him the covenant and made him king. Jehoiada and his sons anointed him, and they said, long live the king. When Athaliah heard the noise of the people running and praising the king, she came to the people in Yahweh's house. Then she looked, and behold, the king by his pillar at the entrance, and the captains and the trumpets by the king. All the people of the land rejoiced and blew trumpets. The singers also played musical instruments and led the singing of praise. Then Athaliah tore her clothes and said, treason, treason. Jehoiada the priest brought out the captains of hundreds who were set over the army, and said to them, bring her out between the ranks, and whoever follows her, let him be slain with the sword. For the priest said, don't kill her in Yahweh's house. So they made way for her. She went to the entrance of the horse gate to the king's house, and they killed her there. Jehoiada made a covenant between himself, all the people, and the king, that they should be Yahweh's people. All the people went to the house of Baal, broke it down, broke his altars and his images in pieces, and killed Matan the priest of Baal before the altars. Jehoiada appointed the officers of Yahweh's house under the hand of the Levitical priests, whom David had distributed in Yahweh's house, to offer the burnt offerings of Yahweh, as it is written in the law of Moses, with rejoicing and with singing, as David had ordered. He set the gatekeepers at the gates of Yahweh's house, that no one who was unclean in anything should enter in. He took the captains of hundreds, the nobles, the governors of the people, and all the people of the land, and brought the king down from Yahweh's house. They came through the upper gate to the king's house, and set the king on the throne of the kingdom. So all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was quiet. They had slain Athaliah with the sword. Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Zibiah of Beersheba. Joash did that which was right in Yahweh's eyes all the days of Jehoiada the priest. Jehoiada took for him 2 wives, and he became the father of sons and daughters. After this, Joash intended to restore Yahweh's house. He gathered together the priests and the Levites and said to them, go out to the cities of Judah and gather money to repair the house of your God from all Israel from year to year. See that you expedite this matter. However, the Levites didn't do it right away. The king called for Jehoiada the chief and said to him, why haven't you required to the Levites to bring the tax money of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, and the assembly of Israel out of Judah and out of Jerusalem for the tent of the testimony? For the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman, had broken up God's house, and they also gave all the dedicated things of Yahweh's house to the Baals. Excuse me. So the king commanded, and they made a chest and set it outside the gate of Yahweh's house. They made a proclamation through Judah and Jerusalem to bring in for Yahweh the tax money that Moses, the servant of God, laid on Israel in the wilderness. All the princes and all the people rejoiced. They didn't get mad. You see that? They rejoiced. That's that great joy that comes when you put things in God's order. It was going to cost them something, but they knew it was right because it was restoring the law of Moses, the practices. Interesting. Verse 10 again. All the princes and all the peoples rejoiced and brought in and cast into the chest until they had filled it. Whenever the chest was brought to the king's officers by the hand of the Levites, and when they saw that there was much money, the king's scribe and the chief priest's officer came and emptied the chest and took it and carried it to its place again. Thus they did day by day and gathered money in abundance. The king and Jehoiada gave it to those who did the work of the service of Yahweh's house. They hired masons and carpenters to restore Yahweh's house, and also those who worked iron and bronze to repair Yahweh's house. So the workmen worked, and the work of repairing went forward in their hands. They set up God's house as it was designed, and as it was designed. That's a key right there. And strengthened it. When they had finished, they brought the rest of the money before the king and Jehoiada, from which were made vessels for Yahweh's house, even vessels with which to minister and to offer, including spoons and vessels of gold and silver. They offered burnt offerings in Yahweh's house continually all the days of Jehoiada. But Jehoiada grew old and was full of days, and he died. He was 130 years old when he died. They buried him in David's city among the kings, because he had done good in Israel and toward God and his house. After the death of Jehoiada, the princes of Judah came and bowed down to the king. Then the king listened to them. They abandoned the house of Yahweh, the God of their fathers, and served the Asherah poles and the idols. So wrath came on Judah and Jerusalem for this, their guiltness. Yet he sent prophets to them to bring them again to Yahweh, and they testified against them, but they would not listen. The Spirit of God came on Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada the priest, and he stood above the people and said to them, God says, why do you disobey Yahweh's commandments so that you can't prosper? Because you have forsaken Yahweh, he also has forsaken you. That's a scary sentence right there. So that was the prophet Zechariah, son of the priest, Jehoiada the priest. So he's kind of like a PK, right? The Spirit of God came on Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada the priest. That's amazing. So he said, because you have forsaken Yahweh, he also has forsaken you. Verse 21. They conspired against him and stoned him with stones at the commandment of the king of the court of Yahweh's house. Thus Joash the king didn't remember the kindness which Jehoiada his father had done to him, but killed his son. When he died, he said, may Yahweh look at it and repay it. At the end of the year, the army of the Syrians came up against him, and they came to Judah and Jerusalem and destroyed all the princes of the people from among the people and sent all their plunder to the king of Damascus. For the army of the Syrians came with a small company of men, and Yahweh delivered a very great army into their hand, because they had forsaken Yahweh, the God of their fathers, so they executed judgment on Joash. When they had departed from him, for they left him very sick, his own servants conspired against him for the blood of his sons of Jehoiada the priest, and killed him on his bed, and he died. They buried him in David's city, but they didn't bury him in the tombs of the kings. These are those who conspired against him: Zabad the son of Shimeath of the son of Shimeath the Ammonitess, and Jehozabad the son of Shimrith the Moabitess. So isn't that interesting? Instead of saying their fathers, they said these two people's mothers, the Ammonitess and the Moabitess. Now concerning his sons, the greatness of the burdens laid on him and the rebuilding of God's house, behold, they are written in the commentary of the book of the Kings, and Messiah his son reigned in his place. I wonder if they named the mothers because the princes or the heads of the households had died. Maybe not, but I don't know. Interesting. That's the end of today's reading. About 15 minutes. I'm so glad you joined me. It took time to get your word in for today. Join me again tomorrow. See you then. God bless you.